that they have been raped, because they were not going to do anything about it. Really.
So I think it's a clear distinction
between... It's a difference between what's happening in India and what is happening
It's a different type of violence that is occurring in India right now. That is more predominant. Same way we can pull up South Africa. South Africa's death toll for women is astronomical. It is 5 times higher than the global average.
Hello there, welcome to the Funtaqa Junction podcast. Real talk, your one-stop shop for everything fun and trending and edutainment. I'm your co-host of the show, the LA. And with me, I've got my usual and regular chairman of the day. Resh. Yeah. What's happening, Resh? How you doing?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
You're back for another one, Abi?
Yeah. I mean, that's how we roll.
How we roll. Ladies and gentlemen, just before we kick out of the races, I'd like to announce to you that we've got a special guest on the show again today. She's in front of the house, funny enough, for those of us that have been following the Funtaqa Junction podcast for a while. But for the newbies who are not aware, this is the introductions to the lovely and delectable Hannahlyka. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
It has.
And you're looking all, dazzling, like dazzling mirage, all bright and, beautiful.
Thank
you.
Just
bringing light into our universe.
Thank you.
Chicken prepared.
As always.
Don't you ever not come prepared.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. It's good to have you on the show.
Same here.
And I think it's very interesting that we have you, because I've always considered you to be like one of the pro-women, pro-feminist, pro-gender-based support, advocates.
But she
doesn't have foundation yet.
Yeah. I don't know if she's feminist in that sense.
No.
I guess she's more rational when it comes to the feminism.
I'm here.
Well, we'll find out.
I'm right here. I can speak for myself.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping that you don't bring the smoke, because I'm waiting for the feminists to come out. Because me too, I'm ready.
You're ready, right?
Yeah, well.
Okay.
That's what this is about, guys, because today we're discussing a very, very sensitive and important topic, actually, right? Looking at what's going on in society today, I feel like there's so much happening, and maybe we're not just talking about the right things and paying attention to the issues. And I feel like on the show today, it's good to have fun and, have a smile, have a good time. But I really want us to talk about the issue, which is gender-based violence. And broadly, what is called femicide, right? I'm sure for most of us listening in, we have all been acquainted with the current social media outrage that's going on online following the unfortunate demise of 21-year-old Christiana Ido, who was apparently abducted by a friend. And what was thought to be an initial kidnapping incident turned out to be an actual homicide, right? For reasons best known to the assailant. And right now, social media is abuzz, with the hashtag Justice for Christiana trending. The culprit for this incident has been apprehended. Thanks to some very good work by the Nigerian military, and has been handed over to the police for further investigation. But he has basically confessed to the crime, right? And people have been all over social media, including popular celebrities. They've lent their voice to say, can we protect the women? And can the men really get their hands off the women and allow women to breathe? And you can imagine that has been met with a lot of counter, arguments. Because some people have said, oh, how is it that the men are the one who are being demonized for these incidents? Because at the end of the day, it's still men who have come to the rescue to arrest the guy and who are going to be responsible for dispensing justice. Just because some few men have done wrong some people have said it's not fair to generalize and say that all men are, evil, basically. So that brings us to our discussion point, which is the first question I'll ask you guys to get your thoughts on the matter, which is, first of all, what do you guys think? I mean, it's no brainer that there has been a lot of incidents, and I'll take you back to also the unfortunate incident of the doctor in India, Mumita Debnath, right? She was a trainee doctor who had worked 13-hour shifts, according to what I heard, and she was resting in one of the resting rooms in the hospital, and when she was attacked. And what we are hearing is that no less than 15 men were involved in that incident. She was brutalized and basically unalived. And till today, we don't even know the motive behind that incident, right? So the question I'll ask is that when you think about gender-based violence and this femicide discussion as a whole, what do you think will be the driver for sexual gender-based violence in Nigeria and across society at large?
The way you looked at me.
You go first.
Okay, so I believe one of the major things is condoning violence against women. I think that's actually one of the major drivers. And when I mean condoning, it's the way we hear about these things, right? There is an incident, maybe a lady was killed, right? And you come online and you say, oh, maybe it's her fault, or maybe she must have done something that justified the man's actions, right? Those are certain things, those are certain reasoning that kind of boldens these people, right, to go ahead and do what they do. And the lack of, will I say, legal repercussions on the actions, because you can do something and you can get away with it. Well, we speak of femicide, but there are different forms of femicide. We have the ones where it comes as a result of intimate partner violence, right? In this instance, maybe when they say intimate partner violence, someone you're close with, someone you're in a sexual relationship with, you experience several violent interactions with that person, and then it ends up in death. We saw cases like that. Maybe shall I say, most of this shall I say, family incidents. You hear the husband beats the wife, and then you have a society saying, oh, it's a normal thing, it's a stereotype, men can get angry, you should just learn to forgive, those kind of things condone those actions, and it boldens people not to understand, the perpetrators not to understand the impact, the brutality of what they are doing, right? So you have cases like, aside from intimate partner violence, you can have these religious killings, which is a normal thing currently, where someone gets killed and then you say it's a Yahoo boy that did it, right? And they are like, oh, why didn't the lady know that, this person, or maybe the lady was being covetous, and that's the reason why she was hanging out with the guy. And because of that, the repercussions, she deserved it, right? And those are the kind of narrations you hear. Or I would say there are other examples, really. There's quite a lot. There are maybe the one that is most, honor killings, for instance. Right? In some societies, especially, I know you made mention about an incident in India too. Yeah. There honor killings are quite rampant in India, in Pakistan, for instance. And you also have it in Nigeria, right? Where maybe certain people, where you see a woman maybe you don't like the way she interacts with a particular gender. Maybe she's your sister. You don't like her advancing in her education and whatnot, and you believe that, yes, this action is justified. This is bringing back honor to my family. So there are certain reasonings that are put in place for these actions, and they are justified, and the society doesn't do anything, right, to better curb this incident, right? In this case, you can see how brutal this is, right? This person that, this recent case of Christian Idol, for instance, what we're hearing is that this is not the first time the guy has done something like that, right? Yes, and that's where you see, that's misogynistic killings. Typically, that's just someone people who are raised to just hate women. Their innate nature, and you will see it in the way the discourse they have, and you could see all those warning signs even on his social media tweets, for instance. Those certain shall I say, things that we just laugh about. You can hear those things when you have conversation about the female gender, and you can hear it from your colleagues, but people tend to, laugh it off. I don't want to be the odd one out. You understand? Those kind of things. So that is just, I pretty much feel like one of the major drivers is just condoning the actions. When I see that I can get away with something, and I see that the society would always be on my side, and in that instance, they're almost likely victim blaming. Why would I want to stop it, right? And then it feeds into the stereotype that men are, dominant, they're assertive and all of that, right? Once those are emboldened, when they feel emboldened like that, they continue, right? There isn't any reason for me to stop or any need to curb my actions. And you would even see it in young blood that are growing up, right? You see them maybe in forms of incels, for instance. They feel like, oh, this gender is against me. They don't like me. They don't want to interact with me. Whereas it's just them not being brought up properly and not being able to even communicate properly, right? And they segregate themselves and then, I don't know, start making excuses for their hatred towards women. So, yeah, there are different forms of femicide and there are different drivers to it. But I feel like one of the major reasons that this is an issue is the fact that it's being condoned.
Okay, thank you very much, Lyka, for your summation. I think if I could summarize what you said, I think I picked about 2 or 3 things. Number one, you said it's the attitude of victim blaming.
Yeah.
Right? We have a society that tends to blame the victims when bad things happen to them. Maybe it's time to change the narrative when something bad happens. And I've heard that happen. I've seen that quite a few times. Some people will blame the girl and say, "Oh, she be you that wants to date your boy." So now that you have seen this happen to you, in toy. And some people have said, does that make sense? I don't know about that, to be honest. If that's something that we should be encouraging. The other part you talked about was society sorts of condones it. Maybe because they think it's a masculinity thing and they think, oh, the male gender is usually or typically aggressive, so it's normal for them to be a bit aggressive towards women. I don't know if that's the truth, but that's what I hear you say, that society tends to kind of condone this kind of behavior. And I think the third one, which you didn't say fully, but I think I picked up subtly, was you said something like the upbringing. I don't know if you're alluding to the fact that maybe men are not being brought up properly to maybe respect women and just really basically respect women in general, right? But I think that's another point I picked up from you. All beautiful and brilliant points, and we'll get back to them really in the course of the conversation. But I want to hear from Resh what he thinks, gender-based violence and femicide. And just to put a context to it, femicide, the meaning of femicide is hatred, particularly towards women, just because they are women.
Killing, actually.
Yeah. So like
women.
That's what femicide means. Like an attack on women because they are women. So that means when you use the word femicide, what you're saying is someone is basically going after a woman and inflicting harm and damage to her solely off of the fact that she's a woman. Do you think that this really is a thing? Like it's true? And if you do, then what do you think could be driving this kind of behavior in society?
So if we're looking at the word femicide, I don't think that is applicable to Nigerians or Nigerians as a culture, because we can have the patriarchy type of society. Ours is a patriarchal type of society where the male man is always seen as dominant over the woman and all that. And then for me, I think it's more so piggybacking on what like I said, I think it's more society not penalizing or not prosecuting guys that do that. You know, I mean, if the society is organized enough, to penalize and deal with people that are engaged in all those type of, activity and all those type of acts, I think we would see less and less of that, but because we are in a society that's kind of walking on its head, everything is just upside down. There is no, justice for people that needs one. And, I think but if we look at that word femicide, I think it happens more in India. I think you quoted, you referenced something that happened in India at some point and all. India was known for that. They don't like women. They rape women a lot at a point. I think it's when Modi came into, office that there was one that happened, I think maybe like many years ago, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. The lady was going back home and those guys took turn to rape her, and they just, I think she died eventually and all, and there was a lot of uproar in the society then, like they are not going to take it any longer. Like everybody just went to the street, the men and all, everybody went to the street and like, this is not going to happen again. Yeah. And then the government kind of like, felt like, okay, this thing is getting out of hand and people are beginning to agitate, like, and you know what happens when people now begin to like take laws into their hands and stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's more so culture or society not penalizing and not dealing with issues, that needed attention and all. And then I'll also look at it from, if you now realize that the society is not doing that, what would bring people or individuals or humans to the point where they don't just molest and they also kill? What would bring people to that point is depravity, family values lost. They don't have a proper home training and stuff and all. And that's what takes people to, and you can imagine, they said the guy actually had killed his sister. Rumor has it that he's killed his sister. He's killed one of his girlfriends and stuff and all. So, for you to even get past killing one person and you don't have remorse about it, you're not feeling anyhow about it, you're not, about it, shows the level of depravity that's gone, out of, out of something that you would even want to say, okay, let's get this person to sit down and all. It's gotten out of hand, really, So for me, I think those are the two, aspects that I'm going to actually attack the subject from, And, if you also look at the larger society starts from family values. What is our ideal? What do we believe? What is our creed? What do we live by and stuff? If you don't have it, now that's what you're going to get, really. So I'm going to leave it at that. There's really no need beating the stories. Just that's the.
Okay, so you said something that was quite interesting. I hear you on depravity, like being maybe one of the issues. Lost, people not having self-control, allowing their demonic and evil thoughts get the better of them. But you made a statement that I found very interesting. So you said that when it comes to things like femicide, it's not particular to Nigeria, but more for India. Yeah. So you're saying that gender-based violence in Nigeria is not a thing? So you're saying it doesn't exist?
The femicide is hatred towards women.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay, just to a recap.
Yeah.
Femicide is the killing.
Yeah.
So it's not just hatred.
Yeah, right? It comes
You're
from
killing a woman just because she's a woman.
Yeah, but it comes from
it does come from hatred.
It comes from deep hatred towards women. And then you don't just want to have, and then you go and then you kill them.
Yeah.
I don't think that is a Nigerian narrative.
Okay, but speaking to different forms.
Okay.
Speaking to different forms of femicide.
Yeah.
There is the one we mentioned, intimate partner violence, which is something we see daily. You have a woman being killed because she ate the bread that the husband got for the children.
Or she didn't cook very well.
Yeah, or something like that, right? Or you have maybe normal violence or the domestic violence resulting in death. That is femicide. That is femicide. Are you saying it's not existent in Nigeria? Yes, it is. It is.
I feel like that's
It is.
That's a crime committed because people lose their temper.
No,
or people
it's not
lose
necessarily.
their composure.
What was the
not because they
justification?
hate a woman.
It's not. That's why you're taking it a bit off.
Okay, I'm taking it off. Okay.
Some people with the hatred. That's where you see the misogynistic slaying.
Okay.
That's a different form as well.
Okay.
Where people are being killed, women are being killed because you hate them, right? You also have the ones where they are being killed because maybe their sexual orientation, or for instance, or so there are different forms. Even honor killing doesn't mean, okay, I'm killing my sister, not necessarily because I hate her, but because I feel like she has dishonored me and my family, and I have the power to do so, and I can do it, right? That's violence against her, resulting in death.
Okay,
that is femicide.
All right, I agree.
So so what I'm saying is that there are different forms which they are very predominant in Nigeria. They are. Except if you have your shades completely, closed out and you're not ready to accept.
Yeah, so that's why I'm curious to hear Resh's point of view, why it feels like it's not a Nigerian thing.
It's not a Nigerian thing, really. And Nigeria is bad as it is. I don't think, at some point, people say like I'm too direct when I'm talking on the podcast and everything. But as it pertains to Nigeria, like, I don't have anything to gain from that. If it is something that we need to kind of address, we're going to address it. But when it comes to the word femicide, it's not a thing in Nigeria. But if we talk about gender violence against women, it's a thing, And then also, if we talk about domestic violence in general, and that's why I always say, like, there is the narrative that can be painted, And if the narrative is shaped, and that is what, that is the intent of the purveyors of whatever the narrative is and stuff, that's what is going to be the anthem of society and all. But if we're looking at femicide, that word femicide, I don't think it's a Nigerian thing. But we have domestic violence, a lot of domestic violence in Nigeria. And also...
Okay, sorry, just to interject. Yeah. The lady, you mentioned the Indian incident.
Yeah.
That the person was raped, and until she was killed. What did you say was the justification for that? What makes that femicide, and what happens in Nigeria not femicide?
That is femicide. That is it was a thing in India. Like, people, women get raped and stuff, and they just go bury the woman or the lady, and they don't look for any guy that prosecute or what have you and all.
Are you saying it's not in Nigeria?
No, if it happens in Nigeria, we don't have a lot of news around it. We don't have a lot of, like, and that's what I always say, like, whenever we're having this type of conversation, you have to always use your eye test. You don't hear he said, she said, hearsay, here and there and all. You have to always use your eye test. Ever since you've been growing up, have you had situations where it was a thing where they said some guys are always raping women or raping them and killing them and what have you and all? We don't.
That's literally what goes on.
Okay,
that's everything on social media. That is literally a daily thing. We can start naming.
No, there are two different.
We can start naming these people.
I feel like
boyfriend killing his girlfriend. It's a constant thing online.
Okay, so if you are saying wait, if you are saying that,
naming victims right here.
If you are saying that, we can also look at it the other way around. Women also do violence against men.
So we'll get to that.
Women also do violence against men.
Let's slow our roll.
The reason why I'm saying that, I'm going to allow you to, take over this thing, because, we need moderators like you are, so that you can moderate us. Because me too, I'm bringing the smoke. But what I'm just trying to say in a nutshell is that for our own society, I don't think we condone, such. If it happens, it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Do you get? In India, it was a thing. When they finish raping the woman dies or whatever happens to the woman. As a matter of fact, the women stopped telling their family that they have been raped because they weren't going to do anything about it. Really.
So I think it's a clear distinction.
It's a difference between what's happening in India and what is happening
here. It's a different type of violence that is occurring in India right now. that is more predominant. Same way we can pull up South Africa. South Africa's death toll for women is astronomical. It is 5 times higher than the global average, right? Women are constantly killed, 9 women on a daily basis. It is an epidemic over there. So the same thing with India, you have issues of rape because the depravity that is being shown by the men there is astronomical, right? That's the reason why you are seeing it online on a daily. It's not that the incident is not frequent. The incident is frequent. However, the brutality of it is what has shown, and the as in you can see. Wasn't it a month ago where a couple, they were touring the world, right? They had visited almost all the countries, and they arrived at India, and then he and his wife was gang raped in his presence, right? Those are the kind of news that come online, and the reason why that news got to the global stage was because these people were not Indians, and you can see an example as to what these people experience daily. Now, you're not going to see that on social media. The rape cases you're mentioning are not necessarily being posted online until you see how, because most times when these cases occur, we most likely blame the woman. But now when we can see what we will call a modest woman, a woman that is busy working, a doctor, that she's even at her workplace. So we are saying, okay, now she's wearing a lab coat. She's not the typical, she's looking more like a prostitute. She's not someone who is supposed to be outside, right? She's someone who was in her workplace and being raped. Now she's a modest citizen, and then people are pulling that as an example, and they are trying to show you that, okay, this is coming on global stage, that what else do you want women to do? How else do you want us to be more cautious when it comes to our going out and coming in? Now, that is the reason why you are seeing it on social media. Not because rape cases don't happen every day. Rather, the media doesn't shine light on it. The only reason why you are seeing it now becoming something more prominent now that you're seeing on social media is because people are trying to show you, right? They are showing you things that you most likely don't see every day. People have turned it into a norm. It's the same way currently today. Are you talking
about in India or Nigeria?
Yeah, I'm looking at India. No, what I'm trying to say is the reason why you can hear of India more predominantly now is because it happens daily, right? It happens daily. This rape case is nothing new. It's something that we would typically have at the back of our mind and say India rape is almost equivalent.
Okay, all right. Right? Let's not drag it too much, right? We all agree that femicide is a thing. It happens everywhere. I was just a bit curious to why you thought that Nigeria was an exception.
It happens daily in Nigeria.
And the thing is that we made the distinction that with femicide, it doesn't have to do with a particular hatred in mind. It just has to do with the fact that you commit a kind of direct assault on a woman simply because you feel like you can do it. Do you understand? There's a part of it where it's out of hate. There's also a part of it where you just feel like, I can actually do this to you because I'm stronger than you. So I'll just do it to you. And that, for me, happens a lot in Nigeria. It can happen because a woman turns down the advances of the guy, and the guy, because he doesn't know how to handle rejection, just feels like, I'll show you Pepe. And then before you know it, he's done something to her. That happens every time in Nigeria. That's femicide, in my opinion, right? It's gender-based violence, and it's also bordering on femicide.
Well, that is
right? Because it's an assault on a woman simply because you also feel like you can do it.
Yeah, but that one is isolated in different, cases.
Really?
Isolated in different cases. What we are talking about when we are talking about femicide, hate towards women, like deep-rooted hate towards women, that would make.
Nobody has deep-rooted hate.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
People
that is what
people do.
That's what I'm saying. So that somebody would, wake up,
but they're a class of people.
Scheme away to like this guy's case now. This guy that killed his, I don't know, maybe the lady is his girlfriend or what have you. The same guy that we're talking about.
It's not the girlfriend.
And then this guy has killed his sister before. He's killed and he buried all of them in that same compound.
Yeah,
that's femicide. That is somebody that has deep-rooted hate.
So are you saying that we don't have that in Nigeria? Or?
As a result of misogyny.
What I'm saying is that it is not a prevalent.
All right, okay, that's fine.
Okay. Just an example. Hope you are aware that there is currently so far. Women are being killed in Port Harcourt. Between July and now, about 9 women had been killed. And what the commissioner of police had to say on it was that women should try not to, we should reduce the prostitution and blah, 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 to try and reduce the... These things happen. What I'm trying to say is that you are not necessarily hearing them, but if you go online you can see that, right? And it is nothing less. In Nigeria, it is a lot. In South Africa, it's a lot. In Africa in general, we have a lot of gender-based violence and femicide being prevalent and being condoned. If you go online now, you will hear people say, oh, maybe it's justified. The man. Okay, let's say for instance, the 15-year-old and the 14-year-old. There was a 15-year-old guy, young man, that brutally raped a 14-year-old lady, right? And that was a neighbor or so, or a family friend. Now, that incident that occurred, you see on social media people saying, why didn't she just give it to him? Maybe he has a reason for it. So.
Okay, just put some context to it. A particular NGO,
happens a lot.
A particular NGO had put out a report and said based on their cases that they have dealt with personally in their NGO, they recorded about 76 of Christian Idols similar case between May and now. That's about 5 months, 6 months. 76 women have actually been unalived in a similar case as Christiana Idowu. So, and that's just one NGO, right, in Nigeria. So what I'm trying to say is, just because, like you said, it's not as prevalent in the social media as maybe the India and Pakistan, I don't think it is fair to say femicide is not a thing in Nigeria.
There are different forms that are being
we are getting the whole context, what's it called? A bit discombobulated. What I'm saying is that if something is like, what's it called? If it is a thing in society, if it is prevalent, if it is something that has been
nobody cares if it's prevalent.
Hold on now. You say okay. You talked about the NGO. You say the NGO said they have data for that and all.
What data? Cases.
They have cases for that. Yeah. Cases is data now. They've compiled it. They've kind of and all. And that's, I mean, for me, the question that I ask is, where was it reported? Who and who, what's it called? I mean, did the reports and stuff and all. You see, we cannot
what's that question going to be? That means I lie or what?
No. What I'm saying is that if anybody wants a certain narrative, to kind of prevail society and stuff, there is this what's it called? There is this campaign that they can kind of push and say, okay, these are the things that's happening and all and everything. What I'm saying is that since you have been growing up, have you heard of any case where somebody raped somebody and then they killed the person?
Yeah.
Femicide.
Yes.
Hold on. Let's
okay, I said it's being trumped up.
Yes, hold on. Let's understand.
So let's understand ourselves. Let's leave there. Okay, fine. I hear you. I hear you on your point of view.
Wait now. You need to move on. I want us to move on.
Okay.
But we have to contextualize what we're saying. Gender-based violence, domestic violence is a thing. Domestic violence is when somebody is aggressive and violent towards the other person. There is no gender in that and all. But this case is a case of femicide. We're speaking English here. Femicide is when, maybe a set of people or different individuals, they have deep-rooted hate towards women. And they are going out every day with the aim of killing women. That's what we're talking about here.
I'm saying that's not particularly all of what femicide is. That's what we just established.
But that's what I'm saying.
That the hate part of it is not the only form of femicide.
There are different categories that you can put it. You can categorize it as domestic violence.
Domestic violence.
You can categorize it as domestic violence.
Okay, all right.
Femicide is more deliberate.
Let's go back to it. We'll go back. We'll go back to it, right? Okay. Because I'm trying to lead the conversation somewhere. We agree, whether it's femicide or it's gender-based violence or it's domestic violence, that there is a case of women being subjected to an undue amount of victimization from the male gender, in quote. Do you think that aside from the social media outrage that usually follows these issues or these incidents, that enough is being done in society to sort of, first of all, agree that there's a problem, then come up with, things to do to sort of nip it in the bud? are we trying hard enough? Let's say in Nigeria, for example, I don't know what's happening in other countries, but in Nigeria, for example, are we trying hard enough to, admit that it's a problem, first of all, and then, come up with measures to stop it or reduce it or, mitigate against it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we are. And it boils down to what you were saying, right? There's certain, you have cases where a woman is being raped, right? Maybe because she's out late at night, or she's the only one at her home, or, she's the only one at her workplace at a certain hour. And instances that this happen, you have people victim blaming, right? And one thing we know about men or perpetrators of violence against women are that it's progressive, right? You get away with something little, it grows. So the same thing with even before instances where it becomes rape. You have a man saying hateful words about the female gender or about women in general, right? And you don't curb it. You give the person latitude. You don't shun the person, right? It can come in the form of towards their upbringing. You can notice this person making such comments about women. You let it slide. It's just boys being boys, right? And as it grows, you start to see someone being violent against a woman, right? And then from there, actualizing it, raping the woman. And then it gets to a point where the person gets away with it, right? Because sometimes it's a they say situation, narrative, right? Yeah. He said, she said. And because of that, you don't do anything. The person goes scot-free. And then the person advanced into more, because the way it works, the psychology of it, if someone is being turned on by something, at a point it no longer turns him on, decides to act more on it. Let me introduce violence into it, right? The average time a woman is being raped is around 6 hours. And it's just it's the act of showing the power, right? You're trying to show that, yes, I'm more powerful than you, right? It's not, that's why I said it's not just fully just on the hatred part, right? You're trying to exercise that power against this gender. Now, there's rape in there. I've seen certain instances where people come online and be like, oh, it's just rape. You'll be fine. There's a lot of trauma that goes towards the woman, but that has been pushed aside. Now, from there on, the person is boldened enough, brings in violence into it. A lot of torture goes into it. Make sure this person is near death, but doesn't get dead.
So do you think that there's a lot of,
as I said,
repercussion to our governments, our ministries, the agencies? You don't think they're doing enough to
No, they're not.
Bring them
because
to book,
from
right?
that, the person advances into full-blown killing, right? And in some cases, some people they skip most of these steps. It is not gradual for some. Now, you can see in these cases, I'm definitely sure there might be several incidents. Let's say you're seeing someone making such and such tweets. Those kind of persons should obviously, I don't even know what to say. We have a Minister of Women's Affairs. I know in the past year alone, the lady was being charged for, I don't know if it's fraud or whatever, the former Minister of Women's Affairs. Yeah. There's not much that is put in place towards the security of women. There are several things when it comes to gender-based violence. A lot of things are curbed. When you have reports of a particular, maybe an husband, that the husband doing one or two things against the woman, that person should not be moving scot-free, right? There should be actions put in place to, curb whatever it is. So the person knows that you don't have a right, because I don't even know if rape in a marriage is yet to be, I don't think it's even seen as rape yet, right? In some societies, I don't know if Nigeria has made it an instance of rape yet. I doubt it, right? Where a man can rape his wife, right, in a marriage, they won't even see it as rape. They'll feel like it is.
How do you determine that? How do you determine that the woman has been raped in the marriage? They are married.
Yeah, just because they are married doesn't mean that you have. Okay. Let's even say, for instance, let's even not even go into the nitty-gritty of it. We have an incident currently now in France that is going online, where a woman was raped by over 92 persons 92 times that they can check right now, by the husband. And then he also drugging the wife and inviting men and videoing the lady. Now the lady has come online and decided to rule out anonymity so that perpetrators can be brought to light. They are trying, I don't know, so many men currently, right now, on the incident. People can be raped in marriages. And that in itself is not even yet a law, right? You can see cases where people are being forceful towards their partner. It should be made, there should be punishments for things like that. These things grow. Because when you can't, if you have a partner that is being beaten up, it should not fly. Okay. And if it flies, you end up with maybe intimate partner violence leading to femicide.
I mean, I hear you on that, in the sense that some people have complained that convictions related to gender-based violence or femicide have been historically very low in Nigeria. I think the Ministry of Women Affairs, like you quoted, that said that in 2023, out of about 8,500 open cases related to sexual gender-based violence, only about 300 convictions were secured. Right, so that's astronomically low. And 8,500 open cases. And again, a lot of that is down to the fact that there's no, concrete evidence. It's a case of he said, she said, like you said. And then in the eyes of the law, the burden of proof is overwhelmingly on the side of the victim to be able to prove the case of rape and all these incidents. So
beyond reasonable.
Beyond reasonable doubt. So I agree that in terms of our legal system, maybe our laws is a little lenient on the accused, as opposed to the victim. But then again, we've also seen how, in other Western civilizations, because the law tries to be more lenient towards the victim, we've seen men being accused,
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Falsely accusations are very low compared to the rape cases. Let's not focus on the wrong thing, and that's what we are facing right now.
But that has actually happened.
We're not saying it doesn't happen, but the falsely accused cases are minimal compared to the rape cases. Yes, very minimal. And the reason why they don't even take the normal cases seriously. Not to talk about a falsely accused person. So let's not focus on
we can name a handful of men who are falling victim to.
And you can name several of
so the point I'm making is that at the end of the day, even in the eyes of the law, it's a fine balance between how do we skew it. Yeah.
Let me give you my what's it called? I'm going to also attack it from what Lyka said. And the question that I'm going to ask is, I don't mean that, she should give me a definite answer. But the thing with it is that if you say a woman that is married to a man is complaining that the husband has raped her, how do you prove that that is what happened? And don't forget that a lot of things happens in marriage, behind closed doors. Maybe the woman is nothing, some aids against the guy because of what the guy has done. Maybe the guy has been philandering or what have you and all. You get, and then she's doing all sort of, and all, and then she's looking for a way to get the guy. I know of a case that he wasn't looking to go about the violent way or what have you. This footballer guy that saved all his money with his mom.
They said, Hakimi. Hakimi.
Yeah, one guy in the UK. That was one guy in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah. And what the guy said was that there was a day that they were having an argument, and the wife said, when we divorce, I'm going to collect all your, and all on my half of the, and the guy was like, wow. So that's what you're actually thinking. You are not thinking of us resolving issues and stuff. You are thinking, you already have that thought in your mind. The guy just quietly told his mom, like, okay, transferred everything to his mom and stuff. So, but bottom line, what I'm just trying to say is that it's a slippery slope where you say, because you guys have disagreement, you just take the man to court and say the guy has raped me. Yeah. How do you prove
because
that?
We have seen some women abuse that privilege.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
And that brings my next point, right? Some men have said, listen, just because some men have done the wrong things, it is absolutely unfair to generalize and say, men, stop killing women, or make it a men thing or a men versus women thing. Because is it really about bad men, or is it just bad people? in general. Because I'm gonna give you a few examples. We had the case of Chidima Ojukwu,
the guy that
Usifo, exactly, who exed Mr. Osifo in the hotel room for reasons best known to her, to steal his stuff. We also had the case of Joy Adama and Vandora Oreolua, 2 students of Kwara Poly, who plotted to ex the owner of an hotel.
You saw the way those girls were confessing.
Yeah, it was very casual. Very casual,
weird.
Right, yeah. So we have seen incidents where women have also carried out dastardly acts on men, but the media outrage is not as loud as when it's the other way around.
Oh, trust me, the media outrage is barely loud when it happens. You just have to see the media outrage now being loud when you're seeing a modest woman, maybe a lady being killed while she's in church, or a young girl that looks like she's not someone out for a Yahoo boyfriend.
Do you deny that there are women who actually also carry out some...
Are you aware about the number of men? The violence perpetrated against men versus that against women.
Are we even measuring?
Because they are. We are. Because let me just say something, right? What will you typically say? When you say dogs bite?
Dogs bark.
Bite. When you say dogs bite?
They bite when they need to.
But if you were to see a dog, right, that you don't know, would you assume the dog is friendly?
It depends on the dog.
Okay, so how are you going to figure out it depends on the dog?
First of all, the breed of the dog.
Oh, the breed of the dog.
Yeah, if I saw a Lhasa, for example, a Lhasa isn't going to bite me. Okay. But if it's a pit bull, for example,
I've seen cases where those small puppy furry dogs are beating people. So I'm not going to judge. Now we understand that if you're like in this case, the reason why I'm asking this is when we said we didn't say all men are killing women. We said men are killing women, which is statistically true.
And we can also say women are killing men.
Exactly. And we did not say you shouldn't say it, because one issue I have with the male gender, which infuriates me, is when we come online to speak about an issue that is becoming very prevalent. The next thing you're hearing, oh, but women do this too. That is not the conversation. The conversation is there is a pandemic of a very serious incident going on. We need to address it. Not here speaking about when we say, oh, women, suicide rates in women, we need to bring awareness into the next thing. Oh, men also commit suicide too. Men, you have the platform. Why don't you speak on it? Right? You have every other day of the year. This is not the time for you to run your mouth. Do you understand? Because the only time men bring these issues up is when they see women shining light.
Okay, let me ask you a question. During the Black Lives Matter movement, what was your opinion about people who came up to say all lives matter?
My opinion with that was actually, I would say, I felt like that wasn't the right time. That wasn't the right time. Why? Because you're having an issue right now. Nobody is saying that when you say Black Lives Matter, that doesn't mean that other lives don't matter, right? It means we are seeing a rising issue of violence. Yes, but right now we are saying Black Lives Matter, and we're reiterating that fact so you can stop, you can put, we can have that equality, right? That's the reason we're emphasizing on it, right? That's just it. So right now, there's a prevalent issue of violence against women that is being condoned on a general. Even when this news first came up, before it blew up, when I first saw the case, because initially we thought she was kidnapped, so people were reposting for awareness and all. I saw a lot of people making such degrading comments, right? And now I've seen a lot of movement right now of people reposting people that make very stupid comments, because guess what? That was what this guy was doing on Twitter, right? That people did not shine light on him before. So now when we see people making such out of the world, very, 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 I would call like, you have to be very careful with these people. You start publicizing their name so that they should be very proud of what they say with their pictures out loud. So when you're seeing these cases, you have this violence issue. No one is saying men are not, violated. There is Men History Month. There is a day for men. No, these guys don't even know these things often. But when a woman comes online and says, "Oh, Happy Women's Day," "Oh, emphasize on women, equality," do this and that. The next thing, "Oh, men also want equality. We also want." Hello. You have your time. You have 365 days in a year. Speak on your issues. Don't let it be that you only speak when you want to antagonize or when you want to subdue the message women are bringing across, which is the problem. So right now, I would say yes, men are killing women. It's a fact. Right now, women are killing women. Whether it's in the form of honor killings, whether it's in the form of ritualist killings, even human trafficking is under that. Infanticide, killing a female, this thing is also part of it. You also have the suicide, the femicide suicide case, where a man kills himself after killing his woman or something like that. Those are all cases of femicide. We're saying women are being killed, right? And we're emphasizing on this, and these things are perpetrated by men. It's a fact. Right? We're not saying all men, and don't be antagonized because we're not saying it's you. Yes, you can point out one good man, but if I was walking down the street in the middle of the night, the last time someone ran behind me and I wanted to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, I learned my lesson. Right? Any guy walking behind me, there's even some guys that are very self-conscious of these issues. And when they see maybe a lady starts walking really fast, they will notice that, even though I'm not bad, but I feel like this girl might feel like I'm a threat because it's in the night. Yeah. And they might decide to maybe cross the road so that she can feel a bit more relaxed or reduce their pace so that it won't look like as if they are pursuing, because you understand what is going on.
Resh, very quickly, your thoughts. Very quickly.
Well, I mean, like we said, it's opinion-based. We're operating opinion-based podcast, and I respect Anna's opinion on that. I know that people have different motives and different reasons why they do what they do, and we know that there is domestic violence, there is violence generally, across the gender divide. But if we look at Nigeria, we know that Nigeria has always had that patriarchal type of, structure, from our time past and all, where women are subject, to the men and stuff and all. But I mean, at least we can say in a way we have moved, some step forward, progressively as it pertains to, and all.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why a lot of women can come out and be very bold, with their statements and say, okay, these are the things that we don't like and stuff and all, which is good for society, really. But for me, I also don't like Nigeria. We have a lot of issues going on in Nigeria. I feel very sad for the girl that died. The guy that he even killed his family members as well, and I feel like the full wrath of the law should be meted on the guy. And I think that's what we need to kind of focus more on, but if we have a society where it's disjointed, we don't have, people don't get penalized for the bad things that they do. We have a messed up system where, the police or the prosecuting arm of the security arm of our society are kind of porous, they're kind of corrupt. They just do things anyhow. If you have money, you can buy your way out of, crime and stuff. So all these things are the major contributing factor to why people don't get penalized, why people don't get, brought to book, when they do stuff that is bad in society and all. I would say that the society, we should amp our security, and our judicial system, to a point where, proceedings against somebody that has done something bad are expedited. They are brought to the courts. The court goes through the process and it is transparent. People can see. They put it in maybe the dailies. They put it in the news for everybody to see. And once people are informed, once people begin to see that, I may not be able to get away with this, that's why that's what makes society kind of, thrive. When people know that there's no hiding place for me when I do stuff that is bad and all, so I would just look at it from the point of like, generally, our society needs to do better. But I'm also going to touch on the Black Lives Matter issue. Black Lives Matter issue is, it's politicized,
let's keep the conversation.
Yeah, no.
No.
You said you talked about, but I'm going to keep it, very compact and very, But you said one thing. What you said was that should we say all lives matter when they are saying Black Lives Matter?
Yeah.
But if you follow the trend of the Black Lives Matter, they got to a point where they were actually killing people on the streets because they are saying Black Lives Matter. That is also another injustice being meted to people that are innocent. Do you get? And that's where we say when there is this, this very singular narrative, this single story, like this is what we're going to run with and all. What is the real, root cause of the issue? Is it decadence in society? That is making people to get to the point where they feel like I can just kill somebody. And you don't feel anything. You just kill somebody, you don't feel like you go back home and you sleep. You even bury the person at your backyard. Do you get? And this guy has done this thing for consistently for maybe 3 or 4 years and stuff before they got him.
Yeah.
What gets you to the point where you do that? Those are the things that we need to focus our attention more on.
Yeah.
So that people don't get to the point where, because it has already gotten bad when we are saying, no, now there is femicide. Or now there is, what is it?
Now you guys are just listening to us. We've been saying it since. Even the lady Augusta that was killed by her boyfriend too, that was macheted and thrown in the trash bag. We rose this issue last year. No one was.
We also have cases where
where women have done
definitely not astronomical.
All right, so let's. So I want to keep the conversation very solution based, right? And I thank you guys for sharing your unfiltered opinions and thoughts. And I think we'll be very curious to also hear what the listeners have to say in the comment sections. You can give us your thoughts and feedback. I think I'll wrap up this conversation by asking, assuming you guys had the magic wand and you had the ability to change something with the way things are right now, what would you want to happen, or what would you want to see differently, or what recommendations would you be putting in place to sort of provide more protection, for women?
If you say magic wand,
if there was something that you could do now that would just maybe change the course of things, what would you do that could provide more protection for women in today's society?
Can you cast a spell as a magician?
I don't know. Let's hear your thoughts.
I'm just asking, can you cast a spell as a magician?
No, you have to be a sorcerer to cast a spell.
Be a sorcerer?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if I was a magician, I would just go into Asurok and just make all of them disappear. Yeah, and they will kind of bring new people, new.
So what are they going to do differently?
Yeah. That's the thing now. When they know that when they're in Asurok, they can disappear, they will do right. And it will be, to be put boldly. For all the bad, heinous crime these guys have committed on behalf of... Are
they the ones committing gender?
They are the ones now. Number one, they are the one that is supposed to be. And these are all the things that are supposed to be deliberated on the House, at the Senate, that they will bring, that they will go day in, day out deliberating on it. They won't deliberate that. But when it is time to increase our fuel, when it's time to increase, when it's time to change our national anthem, they will quickly do it in 2 days. And that's, for me, I think it goes back to the rule of law. What is our idea? What is our ideal as a nation? What is our creed? What is our motto? What do we run by?
Yeah.
Once we don't have all these things, in place,
you
get, you're always going to have, even in people say, okay, maybe I shouldn't get, religious. I don't have any other option. I'm going to get religious because that's my base. When Noah came back after the flood came and they came back to earth, and then they started, what the first thing that God did? He gave them rules and regulation. If anybody kills, kill them back. If anybody, steals, make sure that you penalize them, make sure that they are brought to book and all. That was what God told Noah. Because if a society is not, regulated, if a society is not under, some form of 10 commandments that they can go by.
Yeah.
That is what always happens.
Anarchy.
Society cannot, humans in nature, they are kind of crude in nature.
Yeah.
So if you don't put the checks and balances in place,
yeah,
that's what always happens.
Sorry, what was the question again?
If you had the opportunity to make some recommendations or do some things differently that could protect women, what would you advise?
I mean, the easier thing would just be that all men disappear. But since we can't make that happen, I would say that
that's interesting.
I would say the best thing would be for perpetrators to be meted with the same act of violence they perpetrated. So, if you have someone brutally murdering someone, the same should be done to that person. The person should undergo torture. If you have anybody speaking and emboldening such acts, the person should have a taste of what that act is, and then come back and tell me if that act should be condoned. That's
it's interesting what you just said now about all men disappearing. It reminds me of a certain debate I saw online where they were asking certain women, would you rather be stuck in the bush or in the forest with a bear or a man? And interestingly, a lot of the women on that interview said they would rather be stuck in the forest with a bear than a man. And I found it very interesting. So I did a personal study on my own, and I reached out to a couple of females in my contacts. And I tried to ask them the same question. If you will find yourself stranded in the forest, would you rather be stuck with a man or with a bear? And every single one of them said they would rather be stuck with a man, because the man is the one that will help them fetch firewood and they help them hunt for bushmeat that they will eat. And then I was wondering, why is there such a big disconnect between what people say on social media and what people say in reality? Women always say men are their problems, but at the end of the day, they still need the same men to be able to be all right.
Those ones that are saying that they are going to be stuck with the bear, they need to go and heal their hearts. They've been broken too much.
let me say something. I don't know if that has been it's alleged currently, but I heard it was rainy, and then the lady Christiana was offered shelter in the guy's house, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing she felt this person was here to provide me shelter, right? And that's like, oh, okay, it's a guy, it's fine, he's all good, and he's a friend. Now, and he's a friend as well, and you're expecting a certain from that person. Yeah. So for me, I feel like a lot of people forget what the point of the discourse is when it comes to the bear and the man. Is the fact that you have two very bad situations, and we're trying to look for the lesser of the two evils. That is what the conversation is. And currently, if I were to choose between being mauled by a bear and being raped for 6 hours, which is the average rape time, I would say I would choose.
What about average? So you mean that people are doing that for 6 hours?
Yes, constantly. The same way you saw on social media where someone was beaten for 4 hours by the husband. So anyway, that's just besides the point. What I'm trying to say is that I think because of the way the man is not just how would I call it? Is someone who is very advanced in thinking. There are different ways of torture that even you yourself, you feel like you're bewildered when you see the different ways of torture someone can be tortured. And you see that the man has the capability of looking for different ways. And the person is exercising power in a way that they won't want you to pass on. It's not like the aim is not to kill you. The aim is to torture you to near death. And once they are now finally done, they would kill you. Damn. And I would say to me, the conversation is the fact that we have two bad situations right now. Whether it is a man and a tiger or a man and a distant, I think I want to take my odds. Now, if a woman decides, oh no, her odds are better with a man, good. There isn't anything wrong with that. But if another woman says, you know what, I've had some experiences that are very bad and I've had some experiences that are very horrible, I think I want to be stuck with the bear. Because there's a chance I see a bear that is a bit friendly.
Yeah,
the same way there's a chance I can see a man, but I think I want to still take my chances because, So right now, I don't know. For me, my answer was I would rather be stuck with a bear.
The bear.
So that's just it.
All right. Very interesting. And I think this has been really, really insightful. And Our guys have given their opinions. Resh once sent everybody in Aso Rock. In case you know what Aso Rock is, that's where the leaders of the Nigerian politician and political space do their business. He wants everyone there to disappear and completely replace with new guys. And Lyka wants all men to just simply disappear, basically.
So that I can finally take a run late at night and not feel like I'm going to be killed.
Politician or not, she don't want to see no more man, in the vicinity.
That's on the Lyka please.
Personally, I think that we have been looking at the situation from a very reactive standpoint, which is to say, I think Lyka also said something like, when they catch someone doing something, give him a taste of his own medicine so that I can feel it. That's more of a reactionary approach. I think that the guys that have the opportunity to make a difference need to step in and think of more preventive approaches towards managing this kind of situation. And this is what I like to call something like the National Orientation Agency in Nigeria and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. This is the time to bring yourself together and think of a program of how we can send out some kind of messaging and some kind of grooming technique for our young ones so that from a very young age, our kids can start understanding what it means to respect one another, how to achieve what we call self-control. It's like Resh said, sometimes as human beings, our natural inclination is to just delve towards more crude, more abased kind of thinking. But if from a very young level, from our schools, from our churches, we're already putting some kind of messages where our young boys are being taught to respect women, respect their bodies, respect their right to privacy, control your temper. When you get angry, the fact that you think you are stronger than a woman doesn't mean you should hit her. I think that kind of messaging and that kind of grooming should start happening very early from our schools, from playground, from nursery, secondary, from our churches. And that's why I'm calling the National Orientation Agency, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, and other relevant agencies to put together a program. Advertise it on jingles, advertise it in school board, put the messaging out there so that we have children who grow up and they realize that just because the girl tells him no doesn't give him the right to decide to take it by force. And I think that really that is what's going to make the difference. And we're saying here on the podcast, the outrage is not the first time. Justice for this. The hashtags are always trending. Last year, we know how many hashtags went out because of things like this that have happened. And we don't see any concrete action being taken. And we're saying, instead of waiting for something bad to happen before we do something, why don't we get ahead of the curve? Why don't we put together a program and start with our young ones? It might be too late for the older guys, right? But to create a safer environment for our kids in the near future, we need to start thinking about the messaging and the program to change the scenario. Guys, it's been a pleasure having you. I appreciate the fact that we're able to keep the conversation cordial, not too many blows.
I know we sent out some. I also want to send out something to the men out there. If you're hearing certain, because I feel like a lot of men don't listen to when women are talking. And I'm sure some people, if they were going to listen to this, there are some men that are just going to be deaf like this when I start talking. But when you have, the onus is also on you guys too. Because even certain instances when ladies went out there to shout for equal rights, people weren't listening until they had male advocates speaking on their behalf. So the same thing applies here. Men, please, when you hear your fellow men say stupid things, don't laugh it off. Don't encourage misogyny. This is where you wake up one morning and you're surprised that, my fellow guy is acting this way. You could hear it, you could see the red flags. So please call out your guys. Call them out. And the people that call them out, kudos to you. A lot of them call them woman rapper, sims, and whatever.
Yeah.
Continue the good work.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Guys, that's as much as we have time on the show today. It's been a lovely one. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned a thing or two. Drop your comments in the comment section. Let's know your thoughts. Some very, very interesting opinions here on the show. Let's get your thoughts. From me at the junction, I'm signing out. It's been a pleasure. I'm your boy LA and Lyka and Resh. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Pleasure is all
catch
mine.
up next time.
You guys are exhausted.
you.